I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we will learn the very basic concepts about compound dependent events. Events whose outcomes depends directly on the outcomes of another event are called dependent events. Well, that's a straightforward statement. So we are talking about more than one event, right? So we are talking about more than one event. That is important, right? Now, outcomes of one influences the outcome of other, so that is important. So outcome of one, let's say A, influences or changes outcome of B, right? So let's say we have more than one events. Let's take A and B as two events, right? So outcome of A influences outcome of B. That is to say, I'm assuming A is performed first, right? And then B is performed, right? So A is performed first and then B is performed. So let me take an example. Let us say we have a bag in which, let's say 3 red balls, 2 green balls, and 3 into 5, and let's take 5 blue balls. So we have 10 balls in a bag, right? So that means total of 10 balls. Now that's an example. Okay. Now what do we need to find? Let's define our event A as the first ball is, let us say, red. Now, what is the probability for getting a red ball? So what is the probability for getting the red ball A? So probability of getting a red ball, we have 3 red balls, right? And this is from 10. So it is 3 out of 10. Okay. So that is the probability of getting a red ball. Now, let us define the second event. We'll define second event, which is followed. That means no replacement. Let me write no replacement. Okay. No replacement. And then we want second ball to be red again. Okay, to be red again. Now, since we have no replacement, what has happened? The scenario now is we are left with 2 red balls, 2 green balls, and 5 blue balls. Do you see that? So what do you note here? You note that the sample space has changed. So n of s is not 10, but it is 9. Right? Even what we are saying is that the event B follows event A, and we want again to draw red ball, right? Since the sample space has changed, it has influenced the outcome. Now let's get back to the definition. Events whose outcome depends directly on the outcomes of another event are called dependent events. So it becomes dependent on the result of the first one. You get an idea, right? So that is how it is. Now in this case, what is the probability of getting a red ball? So that means we are left with, let me just write B, okay. So what is the probability of getting a red ball? Since there are 2 out of 9, probability is 2 over 9. Correct? Now the question is, we need to find probability of drawing 2 red balls in a sequence. So that should be multiplied, right? So the probability of getting 2 red balls should be product of these 2, right? So product of these 2, we could say that A happens, that is probability of A. And another way of writing this is when probability of A has occurred. So this B is when A has occurred. So this B is when A has happened, right? That is what it is. So we assume that A happened, right? So normally we'll write this as probability of B when A occurred, right? So that was the right symbol. So let me replace this with probability of B when A has happened. So that is why the sample space changed. You get an idea, right? So that's how I should have written, because we are saying one red ball was drawn. That means it happened, correct? Therefore, the probability is product of these two, which is 3 out of 10 times 2 over 9, correct? So you could always simplify this and write down simplified answer. So that gives you 5 and this gives you 3. So we get 1 over 15. Correct. So that is how we can understand compound events which are dependent, right? So now from here we can write down the formula that probability of both A and B to happen is probability of A, at that time there's no influence, right, times the probability of B when A has occurred. Do you see that? So this is read as probability of B when A has happened or A has occurred, right? So it is product of these two. And the reason for the change is that when A has occurred, the sample space has changed, and that changes the results, right? I hope that helps you to understand the concept. So with this, let's move on and try out some questions. I'm Anil Kumar. You can always share and subscribe my videos. Thank you and all the best.